Hey everyone, and welcome back to the NPC Dungeon. As promised, this week I have 3 more tips all about making great adventure hooks for your D&D campaigns. I went over 6 last week. If you missed that one, I'll go ahead and leave a link in a card below as always. You might also note these 2 videos are remakes of the first video that I ever made for this channel. I thought it needed an update, but if you still want to go back and watch it for whatever reason, I'll go ahead and leave a link in a card to that one as well. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started and let's learn something. To start, let's talk about what is probably the most important thing, at least in my opinion, for new DMs to keep in mind when starting a new quest or campaign. Keep the intro simple. Like I said in my original video, I think a lot of newer DMs have this belief that the more complicated the intro, the better the intro. You might want one player to be rescued, one to be giving the quest, another to escape some kind of attack, but the only thing this will accomplish is confusing your players. Stay away from those kind of intros unless you are a very experienced DM with an amazing table. Trust me, you'll have plenty of time later on when the adventure is actually occurring to introduce all the complexity and convolutions that you want. In fact, these convolutions are what keep the story going. Are your players trying to steal something? Maybe someone else gets to it first. Do they need to rescue someone? Maybe their info is faulty. The point is that at the beginning of a quest, there are even more ways that things can go. It's the most open-ended part, and you have to plan for a lot of these alternatives anyway. Making everything super complicated makes even more alternatives for you to have to plan for, and that, along with the fact that you'll have to carefully manage character interactions and all of these alternatives so that everyone at the table gets equal attention and ends up together, can be a lot. It can be done, and when it's done well, it's amazing. But at least when you're starting out, I recommend giving your quest a simple intro. And speaking of alternatives, my next point is to plan for contingencies. Like I said, the first quest, and really the beginning of any quest, is the most open-ended part. They might decline, they might run away, they might try to negotiate their own terms if the quest is given to them by an NPC, and if not, they may have a whole number of plans they want to execute. This is one of those things that you kind of have to just keep in mind. It's one of those things that helps you by knowing it because now you know what to look out for. For example, I just ran a quest intro where my players found themselves in the carriage of a legendary crime boss. She presented her terms, and I fully expected the players to say no and try to escape, in which case I had to plan for combat. I made a map of the street they were on, I gave her combat stats, and even outlined a plan for how she would fight. But even that combat can go a few different ways. If the players could win, then what? Well, they had friends they made earlier in the campaign who had a good reason to believe the players were in trouble. They were to swoop in and whisk them off on their own adventure, as they had a job for them as well. However, the boss was going to be very difficult, and there was a real chance the players would fail, in which case the same people would come and rescue them. And if on the off chance they all died, they were to be captured and wake up in a dungeon cell in the same place the boss would have wanted them to go as part of her job. That was to make things easier for me, since this place did double as kind of prison, and I already had it planned out. And there's more, but for the sake of brevity, that's where I'm going to stop. Now you see just how complicated the intro of a quest already is, and that wasn't even the first of the campaign. That's also why I say to keep it simple. These things very easily balloon up way out of proportion. And lastly, I have another point that's very easy to keep in the back of your mind and actually do, and it is know the quest that you are sending your players on. By this I mean know the type of quest that you are sending them on. Now, I have a 3-part series all about different quest and adventure types, so I'm not going to go too deep into that here, but in short, you might be sending them on a prison break, a rescue mission, a diplomacy mission, a mystery, and there are so many more. Knowing this helps tell you how best to introduce it to your players in the context of your game. I like to think about this if I'm ever stumped for ideas. For example, if you want to run a prison break, maybe your players get caught trying to steal something, and if they don't get caught, that's fine too. Have another quest lined up. If they're about to help guard a merchant transporting some goods, maybe someone they did work for in the past gets in touch with them again. And that's it for this week's DM advice video. Thanks so much for watching. Come back next week where I'll talk all about planning for combat. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you really liked it, and comment down below if you have any feedback, think I missed something, or just want to say hi. I try to respond as often as I can. I release new DM advice videos on Fridays. Again, thanks so much for watching. Feel free to watch 2 of my previous videos appearing on your screen right about now, and as always, until next time, let's learn something.